guys, it's Saria. Welcome back to my channel. And today's video, which is a super awesome collab organized by my friend Jossum over at Awesome Jossum. I did it, Jossum. I said your name without calling you Awesome Jossum. As if Jossum is your last name and Awesome is your first name. Jossum organized this really sweet collab where he brought a bunch of Disney YouTubers together and asked us to kind of do a tutorial or a how-to on a recipe of our choosing. This collab is titled Dizgiving because it's Thanksgiving with your Disney friends, and basically all of us just came up with a super sweet inspired, I keep saying sweet as if everything's a dessert, and I know I did a dessert, but not everybody did. Make sure you guys check out all of the other channels in this. Jossum, thank you so much for inviting me, even though I am not a cook. Not a cook by any stretch of the imagination, but thank you for having faith in me. I did decide to go with a dessert for this because I can bake, but I cannot cook. And even baking is a stretch, y'all. For me, I originally wanted to do these little berry turnovers, but I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I'm not a really big fan of fruit pie concoctions. Like, I don't really like cherry pie, apple pie, berry pie. I'm so sorry if that's something you love. Nothing personal, I just don't really like it. But I do love pumpkin pies, and somebody in the group I think is making like an authentic from scratch pumpkin pie. So I cannot wait to watch them do that because I didn't. I took the Saria way out and used, you know, like store-bought pie crust and stuff. But this all started, this inspiration for what I wanted to do, because I bought these little Mickey cookie cutters for a craft I have coming up on my channel. So stay tuned. And because I already had them on hand, I thought it would be really cute to make little Mickey-shaped pumpkin pie pops, kind of like little miniature pumpkin pies shaped like Mickey. And then I also thought it would be really yummy to put like kind of like a drizzle, like an icing drizzle on them. So anyway, I'm not going to keep blabbering on it. Let's just jump into how I made this dessert.
So starting off, you're going to need a box of these pie crusts. I just used the Pillsbury brand and it comes with 2. And then you're going to use this pumpkin puree. This can is way more than you need. You need like just the little one. And then you're going to need some pumpkin pie spice, sorry, and then vanilla extract. You're also going to need some powdered sugar. The powdered sugar and vanilla extract are actually going to be for the icing drizzle. Everything else should be for the pies. And then some light brown sugar. You're also going to need 1 egg, and then this little Mickey cookie cutter that I got off Amazon. I will have these linked in the description box below. And again, I have a craft coming with these, so you'll get kind of dual function out of them. You're going to want to remove your pie crusts from their box and let them sit out to get to room temperature for about 15 minutes. So I just set these off to the side while I started on the puree. And then you're also going to want to preheat your oven to 350 degrees. Now, to make the puree inside the filling, you're going to use a half a cup of that pumpkin puree. Again, that's all you need to make, I think I got 8 total out of these. And then you're going to need a 1/4 cup of the brown sugar and a 1/4 teaspoon of the pumpkin pie spice. And then you're going to want to just mix this all together. I used a whisk to mix mine. I did double this recipe because this did not look like enough at all, but I also ended up throwing out half of it. So it just depends on how many pies you want to make. But yeah, you're going to see me mixing it here, and it just didn't look like very much, so I doubled it, but I really didn't need to. So I would just figure out how many exactly you need to make for your family and decide if you need to increase the recipe. And now that my pie crusts have had a chance to kind of get to room temperature, I'm going to unpackage them very carefully, and I'm just going to gently roll them out on the counter. These were super easy to work with. I saw some recipes online saying to use like the frozen ones, but I prefer this one. And then I'm going to take my little Mickey cookie cutter and just gently press it down and kind of jiggle it to make sure those edges get cut really well. And I'm just going to do this all the way around. If you have a rolling pin, you can actually get a few extras out of this pie crust. Because once you cut all these Mickey heads out, you could roll it up, reflatten it, and then cut maybe 2 more, but it just depends how many you're trying to make. And then I did the same thing with the second pie crust. Now I'm going to take what looks like a 100-year-old cookie sheet and I'm going to lay down some parchment paper, not wax paper, parchment paper. I always confuse those. And I'm going to place my little Mickey heads on top. So half of these will be the top layer and half will be the bottom layer. So I just laid down half of them on the parchment paper. The rest I'm just trying to kind of get out of my way. And then I'm going to take that egg and crack it into the bowl and whisk it to make it nice and smooth. And then you're going to brush the egg onto these little Mickey heads. I'm freezing this because I actually lost the footage of me brushing it on, but I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I just used a clean paintbrush and painted it on. And then to put the actual filling in, I tried to use a spoon, but apparently I'm just not that skilled. So I found this little squeezy tube that I use for frosting sometimes. And I put all of the filler into my little squeezy tube and squeezed it in. So the part where I was struggling was to get it into the ears. I could get it into like the head part really okay. I wasn't going to say great, but that's a lie. Okay with the spoon. But this little squeezy tube just kind of made it easier to get into the ears. Now I will tell you, once it started running low, it did start to kind of splatter and make little messes, but I didn't really think that was that big of a deal because I was making way more of a mess with the spoon. By the way, this little squeezy thing, it is Wilton brand, I want to say. It's from Walmart. It's the same brand as like the little icing tips that I have. And then I just took my spoon and kind of added a little more in where I saw needed. Now I accidentally forgot a step on this. I put all the little Mickey heads back on, and what you're supposed to do when you make little miniature pies is go with your finger and lightly tap down the edges first. It'll just make sure that your crust has a nice like adherence on top to bottom. But I went in with my fork and started pressing down the edges. I didn't have any issues, like my pies didn't burst open or anything, but I do know that you're kind of supposed to tap it down with your finger first, then go in with the fork. The reason for the fork is that one, it gives it a really cute little edge, and two, it gives it a really nice closure. So again, that filling won't pop out when they're cooking or when they're being eaten, for that matter. I also do want to mention to you guys, I went a little bit light on my filling because I was so nervous about it like exploding out of the pie. But if I could go back, I would do a little bit more than I did in this first try because I love pie crust personally. Like I love the taste of pie crust, but I know some people aren't as big on the crust. If you're not, this might not be the dessert for you because as you can see, it's a lot of crust. Like it's a top and bottom crust. So just kind of your call, but if you can add maybe a little more filling than I did, I do think these would be perfect. And then because I forgot to do it at the beginning, I went with my fingers and just kind of gently tapped down all the edges of my pies. Again, I was just trying to be cautious because I didn't want to try to make these again filming it. So just kind of adding a little extra step to make sure they stayed closed, which they did. And then the last step of this part is to take your little paintbrush or basting brush if you're, you know, like a normal cook, and just kind of paint on the egg mixture, like the scrambled egg that you made earlier. You just want to paint that all over the top on all of these. And then you're going to put these in the oven for anywhere from 20 to 25 minutes according to the pie crust box. Now I will tell you guys, mine ended up being like 13-14 minutes. Like you guys can see I've got 6 minutes left on the thing, and I pulled mine out because they were already a really nice golden brown. So I definitely think this is just kind of one of those things where you need to keep an eye on it to make sure that they don't burn.
They're nice and flaky.
And now we're moving on to the icing, where you're going to add 6 tablespoons of butter and melt it. Again, I made way too much drizzle, so I would actually cut this recipe in half if I did it again. I did 3 cups of powdered sugar. I probably would only do a cup and a half, and then 3 tablespoons of butter. And then I did 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, so I would only do 1 because again, I would cut this in half, if not cutting it into a third, guys. And then you're also going to add 3 tablespoons of heavy whipping cream. But again, I would cut this in half, so like 1.5 tablespoons. And then you're gonna mix that all together and also add in your butter I just used a whisk to mix mine, and I will tell you guys, you don't have to move like freakishly quickly. Just make sure you don't let this sit out for too long. I would definitely wait to make this mixture until your pies are pulled out and have started to cool down just a little bit, because this kind of turns into icing if you don't use it immediately, and you want it to be more like a glaze. I did pop mine in the microwave for about 10 seconds, and then I took my whisk and just used it to drizzle it on. And that's it. That's pretty much the last step, and now you can just enjoy some little miniature Mickey pies. I think these came out so cute. I'm weirdly proud of myself because I just don't cook, but I think that these just came out absolutely adorable, and they did taste really good. I may or may not have eaten half of these the night that I cooked them, but we won't talk about that.
Jocelyn, thank you so much for inviting me to this collab. I did have a lot of fun making these sweet little treats, and I cannot wait to share them with my family. I know that Thanksgiving's gonna look a lot different this year because of COVID, so no matter how you choose to celebrate, the one good thing I can tell you guys is that if anything didn't really change because of COVID, it's that we can still enjoy a massive feast on Thanksgiving. So because we can still enjoy all of this food, please make your way through this playlist so that you can see some really awesome recipes created by some really great people, and share these recipes with your family and your friends. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye. Okay. There's gonna be like a billion bloopers at the end of this video because I need to remember whenever I think I'm having a rough day that this was up there. Created by some really great people here on This is like the 17th time I filmed this, guys. It's fine. Jocelyn, thank you so much for inviting me. Okay. And I'm gonna stop talking because I'm just not doing too well with this filming thing. Guys, what's happened to me? Like, I can't speak. Oh! Done.